The prophets and preachers of old were not stand-up comedians who entertained the masses with cute stories and funny jokes, passively illustrating biblical truths. They were not eloquent, breathtaking orators who captivated a crowd with smooth, silky speeches, or confused a congregation with pointless superhuman vocabulary. They were simple, straight, and easy to understand. They were men deeply and completely consumed with the fire of a God-given message. They were real men who were focused on blatantly addressing and brutally attacking the vile sins of God's people. They wasted neither time nor words. They were skilled yet rugged warriors of the sword of the Spirit, who cared not how deeply their sword cut, or how big of a mess it made. They cried aloud, and spared not, and exposed sin for what it truly was, never considering the problems that it may have caused. After proclaiming God's message, they didn't wait around to receive compliments from the Christ-like, or to hear the criticism of the compromiser, or to endure the complaints of the carnal. They did their job and went their way, never worrying about results. Today, we are cursed with a horde of men who are polite, political, pleasing, pandering, professionals who have the audacity to call themselves Baptist preachers, yet they are a disgrace to their heritage. They are soft-spoken, weak, boring, lifeless, powerless, passionless, loveless, public speakers whose biggest fans are the demons of hell who attend their services for laughs and encouragement. As Satan observes the so-called fundamental preachers of the day, his eyes must fill with tears of joy and comfort as he is almost constantly reassured of his progressive victory over a battle for America. Sermons with content yet no conviction, though in word, may be aimed at revival and holiness, will only bore and annoy those who hear them. Facts without fervor will produce fools. Fundamentals without fire is fleshly. Preaching without passion is pointless. Sermons without strength are silly. Messages without the Master's might are at best mediocre. Delivery without dogma is devilish. Wicked men use the smokescreen of Isaiah 55:11. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, to excuse their lack of study, prayer, power, boldness, fire, and love in their preaching. Love is not boring someone to insanity with a cute homiletical outline and some dry illustrations. Love is preaching the depth and content of God's holy word in such a way that will help to keep the attention, awaken the conscience, and convince all who listen of the extreme importance of God's message. Subtle Satanism has invaded our preaching when we are so worried about splitting a church that we will not address and attack the issues that God commands us to make war against. The preachers of old didn't wait until things had calmed or settled down before preaching against sins that were rampant in public. They rolled up their sleeves, clenched their fists, squeezed their eyebrows, and violently mauled the corruption at hand. Too often men preach about preaching against sin, yet so rarely do those men preach against sin themselves. May God send America some true Holy Spirit-filled, Christ-empowered warrior prophets. Let me ask you a question: who's your daddy? Well, who are you following?